Hey, y'all. Welcome to Versions of B, a podcast by a woman for women, and sometimes everyone else, discussing the day to day challenges that we face that require us to show up as different versions of ourselves. I'm Brittany, the B and Versions of B, and I want to thank you for joining me for another podcast episode. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So, you know what today is, right? Yeah, it's Mother's Day. Woo, woo, yeah. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mamas out there, natural birthing mothers, foster mamas, adoption mothers, mother like figure mamas, all of you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Flowers, kudos, all the great stuff, sending the good vibes your way. I hope your day is as amazing as you intended and would like it to be. Motherhood is the toughest job on this planet. And I'm learning more and more of that as the days go by. And so I want to acknowledge and celebrate you on this very special day. Even though we do it 365, this is our day. This is your day. So I want to celebrate you all. I also have another glass of wine. It's red this time, but I want to cheers and toast to you ladies for another amazing year and all the great things that you've done and you will continue to do in your important little ones or big ones' lives. So, cheers to you, mamas. Okay, so I'm also dedicating, of course, this episode to all the mothers out there. And so we're talking about showing up today as the version of ourselves that are mothers, mother like figures, all of those things, all of those roles. And I think with today being Mother's Day, it's very fitting that I talk about the self care and the importance of your time as a mother. I also am bringing this up because I firsthand struggled, sometimes still do, but getting a lot better with this myself. And so I want to talk through and break that down as well. And hopefully, I'll give shed some light to things that you can put and implement in place or also resonate and relate to me that can help you in your journey or that you can share to help me in my journey. So I want to say one, I think we should know, but I'll just call it out. Self-care is very important. As an individual, no matter what, is important. But as I resonate as a mother, it's very important. We do a lot as mothers. We pour into not only our children, but the village around us to help aid us in developing and supporting our children. So we pour into the childcare, the teachers, the daycares that help nourish and develop our children. We pour into our spouses that help and aid and pour into our children. We also pour into our support system in our village to help aid into our children. And so it's really important to highlight that in order for our pitcher to be able to pour into anyone else's, we have to be full within ourselves. And some of that comes externally, right? But majority of that comes from what we build and put into the picture ourselves. And so it's really important that we call that out because motherhood is a tough job. For me personally speaking, I've always had the mindset of like, I chose motherhood. Some of us don't. And so I get that as well. But for me, I chose motherhood. And so the responsibility of always showing up and making sure that I do what I deemed important and necessary also impacted initially my ability to contribute to my self care because I didn't feel like I had the time. Like I spent all of my time trying to focus on my son and pouring into him. I rarely had enough to pour into my husband, and I definitely didn't have enough to pour into myself. And it wasn't until my husband sat me down and was like, look, I love you. I know I love you. So I'm telling you this from a good place. It's not working. I don't know what your intent or what you think that you're showing up as, but you're not. And because I know you and I love you enough, I want to tell you that you not being able to contribute and give to yourself is impacting those around you. You're more irritable, right? Like you're not showing up the way you intended. Your patience level is very low. It's minimal, right, for your son, and it's non-existent for me. And we can't have that. To grow and continue to maintain the relationships that you would like to cultivate, that we intend to cultivate, we can't have that. So I'm going to need you to like figure it out, and I'm here to help you, but ultimately you have to figure it out. And so when we had that conversation, I was like, okay. But at the same time, I was like, he's right. He's 100% right. I feel it. I'm irritable, but I just push through it. But how much longer was I going to be able to keep pushing through? Right? Especially thinking that I'm pushing through and showing up a certain way when I'm, and in all actuality, not. And so I was like, okay, I need to sit down. I need to think this through, right? I need to understand what it looks like for me to show up as a mother, to show up as a spouse, to show up as, an individual. And then what are the things that are going to help and aid me showing up the way I intend to show up? And one of those things is being able to give myself time to still continue to grow and develop myself individually, personally, and recharge, refuel, reset. So it's also when you have those reset moments firsthand, right? Speaking of that, it's amazing. It is amazing. And so I want other people to be able to feel that as well. Because of nursing and because of my own mom guilt that I put on myself, I did not spend any time away from my son within the first year of his life. And while that kind of felt like a milestone to me, and I also know that some people can't afford to do that or spend time away. So I empathize with that as well. But for me, I had the ability to do that and I didn't take it. And I felt it. My son felt it. My husband felt it. And so I had to also get out of my mind on what it means to be a mom based on what I think other people thought and felt, and what it means to be a mom to me based on my situation, based on my development of my son and upbringing and the support system that I have, because that's going to look different for every single mom. And so you have to be true to yourself, your own situation, and build off of that from there. So I was like, listen, for me, I can do self care in a multifaceted way, right? It can be days off within a month that I can take off from work and just have my own weekday time. There's time that I may need on the weekends to either socialize with other moms, my siblings, or time for myself. And then holistically, it may be time that I need to take a weekend or a week or a vacation out of town, out of sight, out of mind to do that. And so, what does those frequencies look like? What does that look like, right? Because again, self care could look totally different to me than it does to you, but it's still fine because it's based on my circumstance and your circumstance. And so, you really have to sit down. I really had to sit down and break that out. And being a mother, right? We've talked about this. This is a job, the most rewarding job, but it is a job. So just like anything else, any other job that you have, when you want to get things done, when you have a project, when you want to make something happen, you do have to plan that out. Like you do have to take the time, work your way back to get to your end goal. And so you have to do that in this situation as well. You just have to prioritize it. What you prioritize and what's important for you, you will find ways you will make that happen. And so this is no different from that. And so once you identify what that looks like, your recharge frequency, the amount of time, what you can afford to contribute, give, you also need to look at the support system and the things that are around you that it's going to be able to make that happen, right? Because it's not just, oh, I want to do this. You do have to put the work in as well to make sure that you have things set in place. So having the right person, whether that's your significant other, your siblings, your parents, your in-laws, whomever, to be able to take on some of that burden momentarily for you to have that separation and that time apart or the time for yourself. And so also my sister used to tell me like, I don't want to hear you complaining about not having time for yourself or that you're doing everything because you don't have to do everything. I'm here, I'm telling you that I'm willing to take him. I don't care if you have a structured schedule. I don't care if, he only eats certain things. Like give me the stuff or tell me what you need and I'll do it. I also had that, mom guilt of like, again, I chose to have my son, so I'm responsible for all of these things and I don't want to burden anyone else from my choices, so I'll just figure it out. But if you have that resource, if you have that village, you need to take advantage of it. And as soon as I started to, I felt so much better. I also could really focus on myself because I did the work to make sure that my son didn't want for anything and I put him and left him in good, capable hands. So also realizing that you need to utilize your support system and utilize the resources that you have available, like that's not a ding against you as a mom. You're still a superwoman. You're still a badass. But being able to rely on other things and being able to be aware of how to utilize the support system and things around you, that's actually you excelling. Like that's you capitalizing off of motherhood. And so I encourage you to do that. If you're like me, that was resistant to that, let that go. I'm sure if you reflect on your childhood, you had those figures, support systems, individuals in your life that your parents were able to rely on and lean on. You need that as well. Your child also needs that as well. They need exposure to different things, different personalities, different environments. And so not only are you helping yourself, you're helping your child. And when you get that time to yourself for that recharge, for that refuel, that exudes out of you. So even though it's a personal impact to yourself, it impacts your community and those around you as well. And who doesn't want a happy, high spirited, engaged person to interact with? Not the sleep deprived, low patience, annoyed individual that you are, that I was at that time, right? And so now I think once you identify how you're going to get that self-care, then you identify what that self-care is, and then you move forward to identifying how do you accomplish that? What do you need to put in place? Like those are the big three things, right? The last thing for me that I struggled with, that I'm proudly moving towards not struggling with that anymore, is the mom guilt. And I've heard that so much from those that I interact with, other moms that I know, things that I see on social media. I know it's real, right? However, what I will say is you've put in the work, right? You're giving your best effort. Why would you let something that society put on you or something that you're setting expectations that are unrealistic impact your ability to continue to love and pour into and support your child and your spouse or your support system, right? I can give you an example. I used to go on work trips after Braden had, or my son had reached his first year after I stopped nursing. And I used to feel so bad when people used to be like, "Oh my gosh, do you miss him? I know that you're sad. How's your first night in the hotel?" And so I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I miss him so much. I know it's so hard." And then I started thinking like, why am I lying? I'm here. I left him in good hands with his dad or good hands with his aunt. He's taken care of. I've prepped everything. There's no issue. He's a good sleeper. I'm happy. I'm happy for this break. I'm happy that I get to crawl into a hotel room with free snacks, snacking in bed. I'm happy that I get to wake up after 7 a.m. on my own accord. Like, I'm happy. And I should be because I did the work to allow me to be here. I did the work to make sure that my son is in good hands, that he's doing okay, that he's thriving. And so, why am I ashamed to be glad that I have free time and time to myself? I shouldn't be. And once I started to think about that, it started to change for me as well. And so I'm like, I have to start living my life for me. I have to start embracing the journey that I have established and that I continue to pivot and improve on for me, for my family, for my son. And once I move past that, then, only then, in addition to, and then, my family will feel that. My son will feel that. I'm exposing him to a different perspective. I'm modeling to him what I think is right. And it's what I think is right, not what other people think. And I will never be able to live up to that because that's not my intuitive mindset. So, yeah, I might do this one thing and feel like, oh, well, that's good. But then there will be another thing that I'm still combating with because that's not how I innately respond to situations. And so once you start living in your truth, once you've already established what you expect to be as a mother and you put in the work towards what you anticipate motherhood to be, you will start to feel that. And you will feel less and less concerned about what other people think or what your response should be to certain questions or your behavior should be to certain actions. You have an innate ability We know this as nurturers, as mothers. Hone into that. Like, trust that. It is, I continue to be amazed. And I was, like, when I first had my son, amazed on the way that I responded to things. I didn't even know. Like, I just did it. And I was like, wow, like, I really am blessed. Like, I really was given discernment and the nurturing bone to be able to respond. And I just have to sit with that and listen. I can't doubt myself, right? I have to go with what naturally relates and responds to me. And so I just encourage you, right? It's a work in progress. There are still times where something may happen and I'm like, oh God, like, what are people going to think about this? But as I continue to push forward with my way of thinking, what I think is right, what I counsel with my husband of what we think is right, I continue to feel empowered to continue to do that. And up until this point, knocking on wood, my son is thriving. I haven't been disappointed by any decision that I've made. And if it's something that didn't work out, I will pivot. Like, I can't beat myself up about it. I can't dwell on it too long. My son is growing at accelerated pace. I can't afford to sulk in a decision that I made with good intent that didn't work out. Okay, well, let's try another way. But you have to trust your instinct and rely on yourself. And I think when you do that, you'll see the yielded results in a positive way from that. But going back to in totality, 'cause I can get off on a tangent a little bit, but mom guilt is real, and I get that. I think also surrounding yourself with other positive, like-minded mothers, you'll also get firsthand experience and conversations as well as support on how to navigate certain things. And I say that because I know that a lot of things that I've encountered, I also was able to push through with guidance from individuals that did not judge me, had similar stories, but also encouraged me to follow through on what I intended, encouraged me to silence the noise from other people and drown out negative responses because we're all learning. Any mother will tell you, I didn't know what I was doing and I just figured it out. And so we will continue to figure it out. And we have no reason to judge anyone else while they're doing that. And if someone is judging you, shame on them, not you. They still need to grow and develop, and someone needs to work on helping them. That's not on you. So I will say again, it's important for self care. You really need to prioritize that in your life. Your family, your child, your support system will thank you in doing that because that is one surefire way for you to get back to yourself, to reset, for you to be able to reflect. And again, self care can look like anything. It's all relative to who you are and what that true recharge reflection is for you. And so some people may say it's a whole 3 week vacation, 3 weekend, 3 day vacation, whatever. Some people may say it's actually just going and reading my favorite book, having a whole night to myself where I don't do anything childlike related. Or it could be still impacting and dealing with your child. Again, no judgment. Whatever that looks like to you, it looks like to you, but just make sure that you prioritize time to be able to do that. I just recently did a whole mental health day, and I made sure that I went to the spa. I got a massage. I got my eyebrows done. I got my nails done, my toes done, all the things. And my husband was like, do whatever you need to do. Take all the time. I got him from daycare. I'll get him ready for bed. Like, I'll help you with dinner. Like, whatever you need. I need you to have that because I need you to show up as Brittany, and I want to show up as Brittany. So that's what's going to help me do that on a consistent basis. And so I will close us out by saying I, one, hope that you have an amazing Mother's Day, whether you're the one being celebrated or you're celebrating someone else. I also hope that you find this conversation meaningful and important to you. And I will say that if you need any help or suggestions on how to better improve on your self care and treating yourself, I'm here. I'm sure this community is here as well. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe so we can continue to build this community. And if there's anything you need one on one, please feel free. I have all of my app usernames attached or linked below. So feel free to reach out, DM me, PM me, however you see fit. I'm here for you. But as always, thank you so much for joining me on another episode. I'm so glad that I get to connect with people like you. And I can't wait to see you all on the next one. Okay. Love y'all. B.